Horror and noir are two of my favorite types of film, and unfortunately they don't see a whole lot of crossover. With neo-noir, we perhaps see a few more instances with films like Angel Heart or The Empty Man, or maybe Shutter Island if that qualifies, but it's rare to see a film that truly feels like both of those archetypes. But Curse of the Demon, or Night of the Demon for the UK release, is not just emphatically horror and noir, but it's even multiple types of horror at that. It's firmly both in monster movie and in supernatural horror territory. And when you add on to that the aesthetic elements of noir as well as a classic noir-style investigation, it's a chef's kiss of a blend for me. Curse of the Demon is directed by Jacques Tourneur, most notable for works like Cat People and Out of the Past. The film is about Professor John Holden, who arrives in London to discover a colleague had met a gruesome end. A man his colleague was investigating leads a devil-worshipping cult and begins to make threats on Holden's life as well. So first, let's talk about the monster. No spoilers here. We see the monster in the third scene, I believe. Two things I want to bring up. First, the monster is, I think, both a good and kind of rough one. It is effective in what it's trying to be, but also there are some limitations in what they were able to do at the time. So sometimes the movement, especially, isn't the most convincing, perhaps a little reminiscent of early Godzilla in a broad sort of way. So I wouldn't describe it as like a scary monster per se, but at the same time, I do think it's an effective one, and it doesn't let down the film's atmosphere. And the second one is just a brief contrast with Jaws. Jaws famously had plans for more shark in the film, but the shark had some problems, so they had to go minimal shark stuff. And the film benefited maybe even greatly from that decision. Both Jaws and Curse have early kill scenes featuring their monster. Jaws with no direct sight of the monster, and Curse with a full visual scene. For Curse, there was an argument with the producer against Tourneur and screenwriter Charles Bennett on whether the monster should be shown on screen or not. Of course, they've wound up going with it. I'm not going to argue that one of those approaches is better than the other. Rather, I just wanted to point out diversity of film, that with the right circumstances, you can, take completely opposite approaches to a problem, a scene. With the right context, you can still produce something great. There can be benefits to both mystery and knowledge. And I think here, the presence of the monster helps complement an awesome atmospheric opening with Shadow and Wind as villains, which essentially seem to birth another even greater villain. Now let's talk atmosphere, which I think, broadly speaking, is the movie's greatest strength. What stands out to me about this movie is how well it establishes itself with a fantastic introduction. There are plenty of driving up to a spooky house scenes in cinema, but I think this might be the best. You get the combination of instant atmosphere with the wind, with the trees, the way they seem to reach out to the car, the little bits of first-person shots as you kind of see like all the blackness in front of the car that the headlights can't light up. And so you get the combination of that instant atmosphere with the frantic demeanor of the professor, plus the appearance of the demon, and I think it all sets the stage so well, giving you context for how to view the rest of the film. Another benefit of seeing the monster early is knowing the supernatural elements are real, and it gives weight to the sort of countdown that's introduced in the film. The noir aesthetics play perfectly into horror, and that's honestly part of why I'm annoyed that noir and horror don't cross paths more often, because they just feel like a perfect complement. Just look at a scene like this where Holden is staring down this hallway. It's noir shadow, it's horror uncertainty, fear of the dark. It's a great marriage. One of the ways in which the film utilizes the atmosphere, and hear me out, is a couple of jump scares. Now, I know that jump scares are kind of a dirty word sometimes, but there are a couple reasons I think they work nicely here. The first is that there aren't a ton. It is not the film's main method of communicating unease. The main method here is simply atmosphere. It is much quieter than the dynamic of a jump scare. Plus, jump scares work best as punctuation, rather than the whole sentence or the whole grammar. And the second is that they're just playing off that baseline of tension with playful spikes. They're just little attention grabbers. They're not holding a ton of weight. It's like the film is keeping you on your toes with a few little moments. And some of them are pretty trivial, just little moments that kind of give you a little spike and then return you back to that level, that baseline of tension. It's not using them really as an easy source of payoffs. 3 specific spoiler notes. One is that I love when a movie pulls off a climactic scene that is, at least on the surface, comparatively quiet. Some examples would be like the night vision scene in Silence of the Lambs, or in a pet favorite of mine, El Reino, a couple of scenes near the end. And here the climactic paper handing scene is just that. Much quieter and on its face much less dreadful than the rest of the conflict. It's simply a guy trying to hand a piece of paper to another guy. With no context, it sounds almost silly. This description of this story of a demon, satanic cult, all this stuff, to just have the climax be trying to pass a piece of paper. And yet, with everything we've seen, it carries so much weight, and it's a great piece of tension to me. The second one is that my favorite image in the film is Carswell in the cyclone with his clown makeup on. The whole tenor that scene takes on, in part because of the makeup, in part because of the sudden storm. It just has this air of madness to it, and this invisible quality quality that mirrors the supernatural so well. And then a third one is I love the series of ominous cuts when Holden sneaks into the house. Two of the hand on the handrail, and then the third one being the cat is a great like fake jump scare turned relief type of thing, which is one of the best ones that I've seen in a movie. Of course, the cat winds up being very relevant, so it's much better than the classic like, fake jump scare that's just a bird hitting the window or whatever, where it's just something completely irrelevant. Well, maybe not completely irrelevant. It could be thematic or whatever, foreshadowing, blah, 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 whatever. But in this case, I think it's a little chuckle of relief, but also, of course, the cat winds up to be a main antagonist of that sequence. So this is the Noirvember rec for the year. The US cut is the 83-minute one, which to me is quite good. I think it's a great edit. The UK one is 96 minutes. I've not seen that one yet. We'll be watching it soon once the disc arrives. And it's great. It's instantly a top 25 horror movie for me, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the longer cut.